going to get started now for our first presentation this afternoon with Sydney Wagstaff with Urban Landscapes Habitat for Humanity. And I got to talk to Cindy just a little bit before we got started, and I asked her, what's something really fun I can say about you? You know, because nobody likes all those introductions. And she kind of grinned and she said, are y'all ready for this? It's my birthday. So, yay!
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sydney.
All right, happy birthday!
And not only is she having a birthday, she has been with Habitat for Humanity 8 years. And she serves as their executive director. And she's going to tell us a lot about the great work they're doing there. They have built 154 homes, relocating, are you ready? 700 individuals from substandard housing into their housing. Now it's the 27th year for our Garland County Habitat. We're glad you're with us, and happy birthday.
Thank you very much. So this is our 27th year, and we at Habitat believe in a world where everybody deserves a decent place to live. This is one of my most favorite projects that we have completed. These 4 houses that are in back of me, those are in the historic Pleasant Street district, and we had to go before the Historic Commission to make sure that all of the elements were in compliance with all the regulations in that neighborhood. So you're going to see that these homes have a different siding. Their porches are larger as per the requirements. There's just so much wrapped up in this neighborhood. We were the first ones to have built, had new construction in that neighborhood for, well, nobody really knew, for at least 60 years. So this has been vacant property, well, for years. So it was donated to us by Petrella, who her family owned that property for years, had original plans to put a store there. It never happened. She could not have been more excited to donate these, and when she comes back to town, she always drives by and looks at them. They are just, it is one of my most favorite projects because we did get to go into a neighborhood, take non-performing property, bring it into performing status. These 4 lots are now what is considered improved property. So there are additional real estate taxes that go along with improved property, and that is just a whole picture. Plus, every one of those families were in substandard housing beforehand. This is the first time any of them have actually owned a house. So you can see those 4 homes represent a tremendous amount, both on a personal level, from a civic level, just everything. Also, one of the reasons that these homes look so fantastic is because of the Master Gardeners. So we have enjoyed a wonderful partnership with the Garland County Master Gardeners for years. It predates me by many, many years. So the Master Gardeners will come in, they'll measure for the sod, they order the sod, somehow we end up putting it down. Master Gardeners don't put that down, we do that. Actually, we get a huge group of volunteers to do that. But then the Master Gardeners come in and they put in the flower boxes that are in front of or on the side of the homes. They make sure that there are bushes planted. There's usually a crepe myrtle or something similar in the middle of the yard. So we make sure, or the Master Gardeners make sure that these families walk in with a nice yard, and I mean, they're just beautiful to look at. So that is by far one of my favorite projects that we've done. So a little bit about the families that are in our homes. When they're working toward their house, we consider them partner families because it is a partnership with Habitat. We have our responsibilities and the families have their responsibilities. It is an application process that they become partner families, and they are selected based on 3 main criteria. One is the need for housing, which substandard housing can be considered anything from too small, like a family of 4 living in a 1-bedroom studio apartment. That is substandard housing. But it also can include structural issues. I've been in houses where there's holes in the floor, you can see to the dirt, the ceiling is leaking, all kinds of things. They just need to establish a need for housing. And also there is a financial component. They need to fit with between 30 and 60% of the area median income. And to give you an idea, that's about $19,000 to $37,000 a year for a family of 4. And then they also need to commit to a willingness to participate. So they have skin in the game. They are on the job site, they're in the restores, they might be helping with different administrative tasks, but they are earning their sweat equity. So for a single head of the household, it is 300 hours. We also have homeowner classes, and we go over financial literacy because there is a mortgage involved with this. And so there's a lot of mortgage terms that are sometimes foreign to somebody who is coming from a rental situation. We go over how to care for the house, changing the air filters, what to do if there's hail, like we've had the past few weeks, what they need to do to take care of their roof, getting somebody to look at it. Just a myriad of things that a typical homeowner is responsible for. And we also have we have an attorney that comes and it explains about the legal ramifications between when there is life changes and just all that goes along with owning real estate property. We have an insurance person that explains what homeowners insurance does, how to get really good rates, maybe bundling, these types of things that somebody coming from a rental situation has probably not dealt with before. We have an annual open application period, and this year it will be November 12th through the 15th. And we start that off with a seminar that explains the whole program, and then we accept applications until the end. And then we have a family selection committee that actually reviews all of the applications, does in-home visits, and then makes a final recommendation to the board for the final family. So it's a lot. The application process is long. So a little bit about the housing situation in our area. Actually nationwide, there is, every state in the country has an affordable housing shortage. It's only gotten worse since the pandemic. But in our area, for every 100 extremely low income people, there are about 49 houses available in their price range. There's more availability as the income goes up because they can afford higher rent. On average, the renters here in the Hot Springs area, we estimate that there are about 49% of them that are cost burdened in their rental situation, which means they are spending more than 30% of their monthly income on their housing. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of money for them to buy nutritious food, get the appropriate health care, those types of things that everybody else is able to do. That's where Habitat comes in. So like I said, there is a mortgage attached. We do not give these homes away. I can tell you we would have a much bigger line and a lot more applicants if we were giving away free homes, but we don't. We sell the homes at cost, which is why we work so hard to keep the cost low. We use free and reduced cost materials. We have primarily volunteer labor, so our main crew is a volunteer crew headed up by a paid construction supervisor. But we have a lot of donated products. I mean, I have to give a shout out to Window Mart, who they're the perfect example. They've donated every window for every house that we have built, all 154 homes. So those of you who have replaced windows in your house, you know that's not a small amount of money that they have donated. So we extend a 0% mortgage, 0% interest mortgage to these families when their house is complete. And we hold it locally here at Habitat, or here in Hot Springs at our little teeny tiny office on Hobson. We currently hold about 113 mortgages. Right now, the average mortgage is about $90,000, but at 0% interest, we're looking at about $375 a month plus the escrow. So just like a traditional mortgage, we do escrow in the taxes, insurance, and those types of things. As compared to the average rent, which a couple of years ago was $776 a month for a 2-bedroom, which by the way, since COVID, it's gone up quite a bit. You'll see that it is a huge savings, and that is how our families are able to afford to go into these homes. Not only is it affordable for these families, but they're also gaining wealth. So as the home appreciates, as they pay down the mortgage, they have more and more equity in that house. There is no other program that helps low to moderate income families build wealth. And what's been kind of cool with the pandemic is as the real estate prices have risen at such a rapid rate, we have watched some of our homeowners, they have identified that has gone on, and they have put their homes on the market, and they have sold them. And they have walked away with a really good chunk of money, and they're able to go put a down payment on maybe a larger home, and just like everybody else in the country does. It's, you know, the American dream is to own a house, and that is one of the reasons why, is because it builds wealth. Yes?
If they sell their house, does the new family that buys it assume the same 0% interest rate mortgage?
That's an excellent question. So what Gail asked was, if our homeowner sells the house, is the new homeowner, do they just assume the 0% interest mortgage? And no, it's not. Our mortgages are not assumable. We do have a first right of refusal in the mortgages. So when they put a house up for sale, we're contacted. To date, we have never acted on that. We have always declined that, because we want our homeowner to reap the rewards. So whoever buys the house, they have to get their own financing. Nope. They would go to just any local mortgage company and acquire a mortgage on their own and buy it. So yeah, no, it's not through Habitat. So I will also mention that, of course, with us extending the mortgage for just the cost of the house, there's obviously a lot of equity that comes along with it between what the cost is and what the appraisal is. So we do put a silent second mortgage on that. It protects that equity. It also protects the homeowner from getting hit with a bunch of predatory lending offers, because 100% of the value of their house is committed, has a lien on it. But that second mortgage amortizes over 10 years, and it just disappears in the background. We are a 501c3, And a lot of people think, ooh, the government supports you. No, they really don't. There's also a lot of people that think that Habitat International funds us. Actually, the opposite is true. So we support Habitat International, and we actually tithe. So for every house that we build another house overseas. So we have, to date, we've built, we're getting close to 120 homes in third world countries around the globe. So we're also very proud of that. Yes, ma'am. So she was asking if the tithing component is specific to our affiliate here, or if that is something all Habitats do. It is optional for all Habitat affiliates. So our board is very serious about it. Every few years they look at which country they want to tithe to, and right now we're tithing to Haiti. So we get updates and we get to watch what's going on with Haiti, which is quite interesting. So our funding, we have a three-prong approach to our funding. 1/3 is the restores, and I'm sure everybody has been to the restore, and if you haven't, they're closed today and they're closed tomorrow, but they will be open on Tuesday. We have 3 of them. One is our newest location at 515 West Grand, which is the former Simmons Bank location. And we have one on out toward Lake Hamilton School on Airport Road. And we have one out toward Hot Springs Village on Highway 7, just south of the West Gate. And then our third funding prong is private donations and grants. So we take advantage of as many grants as we possibly can, and we are blessed to have a lot of donors locally that support us, big, small, all of that. It's been fantastic. We do have one main fundraiser a year, and it's called Heels to Hammers. And it is a week long where women come out and get to build. It puts women in a non-traditional role, and our crew absolutely loves this. So they get to show everybody how to swing a hammer, cutting the lumber, all of this. So it is really cool, and we do 2 houses side by side. We start on a Tuesday, and by the end of Saturday, weather permitting, we will have completely framed in 2 houses and set the roof trusses. So it is really fun. Generally, the homeowners or the person who is getting the house will get to work on the site too, which is great because you get to meet these people and you get to realize that, hey, these are the people that are in the workforce in our area. They're at the restaurant I eat at. They work at the bank, they work at, just everywhere. They work in the school district. Our families come from everywhere, so they're a very hard-working group. So that is pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, hang on, she was first. Yeah. Okay, her question was, how many homes do we build in a year? So on average, our pace is between 5 and 8 a year, depending on the weather. I will say that we generally have 4 to 5 homes under various stages of construction at any given time.
Mine was about the same thing. How many families are chosen per year?
Her question was how many families are chosen per year. Between 5 and 8. And the interesting thing about that is the Family Selection Committee every year comes to me and says, how many people do we need to choose? And I'm like, let's see how many come through and are actually qualified in the way they need to be. And the funny thing is every year it ends up being, we're able to build for however many people are chosen. Somebody else have a question? Okay. Okay. Now, that's another question. So her question was, how many applicants do we have? That's a different question than how many are approved. So when we have our seminar, the last few years we've been running about 150 people coming to the seminar. We started doing a Facebook Live so that they didn't have to come in person. And the last couple of years, we get about 400 to 500 views on that. So there's a lot of interest. But when it comes down to some of the details like credit, we have a rule of thumb of a minimum credit score of 500. I see a bunch of people walk out the door. The income, there are some, we do a background check, which is unusual for most mortgage companies, but we are a special purpose credit. And so we do a background check, and when we mention that, see some people walk out the door. So they kind of, even though we have about 150 people attending, we usually have about 40 to 50 applications that actually come in. About half of those are income qualified or have the appropriate debt to income ratio. And so it gets distilled down farther and farther the more it goes. We have some families that apply multiple times and they just continue to work at their situation and improve their situation, and they'll eventually get chosen. So that's exciting to watch. No, go ahead. Which one? Okay. Okay. So she's asking about the square footage of our homes and how we determine that. So we have 4 standard house plans. They range from 2-bedroom to 4-bedroom. But a couple of years ago, we had an interesting incident that we needed a 7-bedroom house. It was a super big family. So we now have a drawing for that because we can't put a family of that size even in a 4-bedroom. We can't take them from substandard and put them in substandard. So we're looking at doing that again this year. What was your question?
So you mentioned a background check. So if somebody gets in trouble, what would be acceptable? What would not be acceptable? If it happened 10 years ago, would that be okay? Or just kind of...
So she's wondering what the disqualifiers are on the background check. So the big disqualifier is any sex offender registry presence. That is the number one. And it doesn't matter how much time has expired. That's an automatic disqualifier. Some other felonies, like if you're an axe murderer, it's just automatic disqualifier. Some of the other ones, the most common ones are like drug charges. Now, if they're like 10, 15 years old and there is a demonstrated improvement in their lifestyle and they're stable, and that can be established, and there's no other infractions, definitely. I mean, we are a faith-based organization. We believe in redemption, but we also know this is a credit decision. And so we have to weigh those. So some of those are weighed on an individual basis. We take a lot of stuff into account. So we do have some families that have a history that is not real pretty, but they have also come through a lot, and they are amazing success stories. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.